Probably not. After all, the Moro continent is situated near the edge of a Tier 4 starfield. There shouldn't be any high-tier fierce beasts around. Li Xiangdong fell silent for a moment before speaking slowly. Let's hope so, the elder replied with a shake of his head, a bitter look on his face. He glanced toward LV Yanfei. Even now, none of them knew why she had stopped the other three from investigating earlier. LV Yanfei offered no explanation. She simply turned into a streak of rainbow light and shot downward. The other three exchanged glances, said nothing, and followed closely behind her. When they landed, their bodies shimmered with light and immediately phased through the ground, descending into the depths below. Underground, the four slowed their pace. The rumbling sounds became clearer, and being closer to the source, the tremors not only shook their minds, but also caused their physical bodies to tremble. An ominous fluctuation was surging continuously from the depths below, a terrifying pressure that bore down upon their souls. It felt as though some dreadful being lay beneath, powerful enough to shake the heavens and the earth. In its presence, the four of them felt no different from ants. This overwhelming sensation made them all freeze in place, their expressions instantly turning grave. Only LV Yanfei's eyes remained bright, her teeth biting lightly on her lower lip as if lost in thought. What in the world is down there to cause such pressure? This doesn't feel like a magical artifact. The three men grew extremely cautious. After a brief hesitation, Li Xiangdong gritted his teeth and dashed forward. He had to see for himself what was hidden below. The deeper they went, the stronger the pressure became. The rumbling grew deafening, making their minds shudder. Beneath that pressure, they felt as if the end of the world was upon them. Their pace slowed further. Within the pressure from the depths, a sense of madness began to seep through. As soon as they touched it, their bodies began to tremble uncontrollably. I suggest we leave. Now, LV Yanfei, silent until now, finally spoke through divine sense. The other three remained quiet. After a pause, Li Xiangdong's eyes gleamed. I'm not leaving until I see what's down there. I can't accept walking away blindly. With that, he surged downward once again. The two elders hesitated briefly, then followed. LV Yanfei sighed inwardly and joined them. As they pushed forward, the source of the sound drew closer. Now the rumbling had far surpassed the roar of thunder. Especially here, it seemed to return to its origin, transforming into a world-shaking, bone-snapping crackling. It was as if bones were breaking apart, and the four of them felt their own bones tingling from the sound. But just as they were about to breach the source of the sound, a sudden, maddened divine sense swept through from the depths below like a thunderclap. Leave now. The sheer size of the divine sense was like a howling storm crashing into them. Li Xiangdong, being in front, was the first to be hit. His body trembled violently, blood sprayed from his mouth, and the sound of pounding echoed from within him. Without hesitation, he staggered backward, eyes wide with terror. The other two elders were also struck hard. Their bodies convulsed, blood spewed forth, and their faces turned deathly pale as they reeled back, their minds quaking with fear. Even LV Yanfei trembled, a trail of blood running down the corner of her mouth, but her eyes only grew brighter. The presence confirmed the suspicion in her heart. Senior, we are disciples of the Origin Reunion sect. I am Li. Begone. Another blast of divine sense erupted, this one far more deranged and powerful than the last. The resulting storm tore across the underground chamber, shaking the very foundation of the Moro continent. From deep below surged a tide of unrestrained power, crashing directly toward the four. Li Xiangdong shuddered, vomiting blood once again. Under the explosive force, his body was hurled backward beyond his control. It was as if some indescribable force had launched him like a bolt through the earth, until with a deafening boom, he burst out from the surface. No sooner had he emerged into the air than the ground roared again. The two elders followed, bloodied and battered, blasted skyward in equally miserable condition. LV Yanfei was thrown out as well. All four hovered midair, faces pale with terror. They glanced at one another. LV Yanfei took a deep breath, wiped the blood from her lips, and said quietly, I told you not to go down there. Fortunately, though our Grand Elder was enraged, he didn't seriously harm us. Grand Elder? The other three were still shaken. The ferocious divine sense had seared itself into their minds. Just recalling it filled them with dread. But her words froze them in place. Grand Elder Lu Zihao, LV Yanfei said softly after a pause. You should have heard of him. The four of them are not the focus for now. Deep underground, Wang Lin's true body, over 300 feet tall, had nearly all its bones shattered and collapsed, leaving only a skeletal trace of ashes in a human shape. The sounds of booming eruptions echoed through the air. Even his skull was more than half shattered, continually disintegrating, the pain indescribable, burning through the connection between Wang Lin's true body and his avatar, consuming all his mental energy. At that moment, the remaining half of his skull emitted a cracking sound, further disintegrating. As the bones crumbled, ashes scattered, and the remnants dwindled down to a size no bigger than a mortal's palm. For a being of the ancient god stature, this small fragment of bone was insignificant, yet Wang Lin endured, though the pain from this endurance threatened to drive him mad. The booming sounds began again. The small fragment of bone started its final collapse, shrinking smaller and smaller, until, in an instant, it was no larger than a fingernail. In the aftermath of the collapse, it utterly dissipated. Time seemed to stop. Heaven and earth itself seemed to cease their motion. The crumbling bone turned to ashes, which scattered in all directions. At that very instant, Wang Lin's avatar, seated in meditation, suddenly opened his eyes and raised his right hand to point forward. Freeze. With that single word, his avatar's body trembled as sounds of explosions resounded from within. Blood sprayed out as the avatar was knocked backward. Simultaneously, the dispersing ashes of the bone momentarily halted. Then, an ancient god's aura erupted from deep underground, filling the space, and the primordial energy of Moro continent surged in, rushing into the earth, drawing nearer by the moment. A silent yet soul-piercing roar rang out, echoing in the depths of the earth. This sound penetrated the very souls of every mortal, cultivator, and living being, sweeping across all of them. The roar carried a defiant power, a fury that surged with unyielding might. In the midst of the freeze spell cast by Wang Lin's avatar, which caused him great harm, it allowed Wang Lin's true body to seize a fleeting chance to resist. The ashes that had been dissolving quickly gathered at an unbelievable speed, reforming into a bone no larger than a fingernail in a brief moment. As the bone reformed, the primordial energy from Moro continent poured in, merging with it. This newly reformed ancient god bone was far harder than the original bone of Wang Lin's true body. The fingernail-sized bone continued to expand, growing to 7 inches in no time. That 7-inch bone consumed nearly half of the primordial energy present on the Moro continent. The bone continued to grow, reaching a size of half a foot long, forming a curved skull. Black glows flickered across the surface of the bone. These glows signified the bone tribulation, shattering all ancient god bones. The tribulation continued to destroy, but Wang Lin's true body was constantly reforming. The cycle of breaking and reforming continued, and his bones reached the peak of their resilience. Silent roars echoed as the half-foot-long bone grew, and as it reformed, the primordial energy of Moro continent's heavens and earth fused with it, leaving no energy behind. At this moment, Wang Lin's skull was completely reformed. His eyes gleamed with a fiery red light, and the will to defy heaven and earth spread out. As an ancient god who dares to challenge heaven, mere bone tribulation cannot destroy me. His eyes glowed with crimson fire as a low growl escaped his throat, and his neck bone extended outward. Meanwhile, the primordial energy from outside Moro continent surged into the protective layer of the continent. The protective barrier shattered with a loud explosion. As it collapsed, the immense primordial energy poured in, swirling into a vortex storm, rushing toward the Guiyuan sect. The cultivators within the Guiyuan sect had long since scattered, staring dumbfounded at the approaching storm. With the collapse of the protective shield and the influx of primordial energy, the star mist in the outer skies of Moro continent began to rush inward, but before it could fully spread across the continent, it was quickly drawn in and pulled toward Guiyuan's sect. In an instant, the sky was enveloped by mist, rolling like a vast river, all rushing toward the depths of Guiyuan's sect. At this moment, The fierce beasts outside seemed stunned, retreating in fear. As the primordial energy surged in, it was rapidly absorbed by Wang Lin's true body, alongside the mist. In the midst of each defiant roar, Wang Lin's bones continued to form at an astonishing pace, combating the bone tribulation. Slowly, not just his skull and neck bones, but his entire upper body began to reform. Though the bone tribulation was powerful, under Wang Lin's defiance and his desperate fight, it was forced to retreat. It could not suppress the regeneration of his bones. The primordial energy of Moro continent within a 100-mile radius stirred, pulling in the star mist. From afar, it appeared as though a massive vortex had formed, its center situated at the Guiyuan sect on Moro continent. In the distance, a massive lion-shaped fierce beast, covered in sharp spikes and over 200 zhang in size, charged towards Moro continent with a greedy gleam in its eyes. All the other fierce beasts along the way parted in fear, not daring to approach. The aura of an 8th-tier beast surrounded the area. Wang Lin's upper body bones of his true form had fully solidified, but his lower body was still in progress. The primordial energy of heaven and earth surged constantly, and the vortex in the starry sky outside Moro continent expanded from 100 miles to 1,000 miles. Within the 1,000-mile range, this enormous vortex stirred the primordial energy and star mist, roaring towards Moro continent's Guiyuan sect underground. However, this expansion wasn't over yet. Compared to the vast Moro continent, 1,000 miles was but a small fraction. 3,000 miles, 5,000, 10,000, 30,000, 100,000, 300,000, a million. The starry sky outside Moro continent, within a 1,000,000-mile radius, was filled with an overwhelming mist, and the primordial energy surged nearly out of control, howling into the underground of the Guiyuan sect in Moro continent. Within the entire Cloud Sea star domain, very few knew the origin of the star mist. It seemed to have existed since the birth of the Cloud Sea star domain. If one traced it back further, it was as if the star mist had also existed before the immortal realm collapsed, and the ancient immortal domain was still intact. What exactly was this star mist? This was a question that cultivators of the Cloud Sea star domain could hardly answer. All they knew was that the existence of the star mist allowed fierce beasts to roam freely in the Cloud Sea. Wang Lin didn't know what the star mist was either, but as his bones continued to solidify, the mist subtly blended into his body, evoking a strange feeling that he couldn't quite explain. As the primordial energy from the area outside Moro continent surged in, the speed at which Wang Lin's lower body's leg bones solidified drastically increased. Sections of bones rapidly formed, surpassing the bone tribulation. Moments later, his left leg was complete. Under this incredible speed of solidification, his right leg finally formed. Once his body's bones had fully reassembled, the bone tribulation dissipated. However, the ancient god tribulation had not ended. As soon as Wang Lin's true form's bones were restored, blood vessels appeared, quickly sprouting endless flesh and blood on the bones. But as soon as this flesh grew, it immediately began to collapse. The flesh tribulation from the first decay and second tribulation silently descended, halting the growth of the flesh and gradually draining his life force. Wang Lin had long been prepared for this. The moment the flesh tribulation arrived, his avatar wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, raised his right hand, and grasped the air. Immediately, a storage rift appeared before him. From it flew blood crystals, the same blood crystals Wang Lin had acquired from the ancient god ruins. He had previously used some to preserve his vitality during the first decay, and had kept the rest for this moment. The blood crystals immediately flew out and fused into Wang Lin's bones. The moment they landed, they rapidly penetrated his bones. As Wang Lin retrieved these blood crystals, the fierce beasts outside Moro continent, which had been retreating, suddenly froze. They all stared intently at Moro continent, emitting roars filled with rare madness. It seemed as though the blood crystals were an irresistible treasure to them. Just the faintest scent drove them to frenzy, willing to risk everything. At the sound of these roars, the fierce beasts immediately turned and charged toward Moro continent. Among them were 5th tier, 6th tier, and even 7th tier beasts, all of them madly rushing forward. The cultivators of the Guiyuan sect on Moro continent were already shocked by the events unfolding, especially when they saw the fierce beasts roaring toward them. Deep underground, Wang Lin's true form absorbed the heart-blood of the ancient god, and blood veins instantly appeared on his bones. The flesh and blood, after absorbing the star mist and primordial energy, grew along the blood veins. At this moment, the deep growls of the beasts echoed from above. Wang Lin's avatar's eyes flashed with murderous intent, while his true form's eyes shimmered with a cold light. With the sound of cracking bones, the true form's body, over 300 zhang tall, rapidly shrank, transforming into the size of an ordinary person. At the same time, his avatar surged forward, immediately merging with his true form once again. Fully merged, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head, shot forward, and with a series of thundering sounds, his body became a streak of light, bursting through the earth. As he broke through the ground, countless fierce beasts near Moro continent instantly went into a berserk frenzy. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed coldly, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared beside a beast resembling an octopus. He raised his right hand and delivered a crushing punch. With a resounding boom, the beast trembled violently, blood erupting from its body, which instantly collapsed into a mist of blood. Its soul shattered under the force of the punch. However, an invisible chi floated from its disintegrating body and rapidly fused into Wang Lin. This invisible chi was the life force of the beast. It was exactly what Wang Lin needed at this moment. Feeling the vitality absorbed by his body from the flesh and blood of his true self, Wang Lin's growth rate accelerated slightly. His body swayed, and in an instant, he charged toward another fierce beast. His speed was so fast that afterimages appeared. With a single powerful punch, the sky above the Moro continent was drenched in a rain of blood. The fierce beasts, which had tried to devour Wang Lin's true self's blood, were unable to succeed before they collapsed one by one. A constant booming sound echoed throughout the heavens and earth. Wang Lin took a step forward and appeared next to a giant serpent. As it opened its massive mouth to swallow him, his right fist landed squarely on its mouth. With a series of thunderous sounds, the serpent's body shattered, and its vitality fused into Wang Lin's body. In a matter of moments, hundreds of fierce beasts had perished. As Wang Lin absorbed their vitality, a feeling of extreme comfort surged through him. His eyes gleamed as he charged forward once again. The fierce beasts crumbled, and this scene, witnessed by the cultivators who were hiding in the distance, left them in shock and awe, especially Li Xiangdong and his companions. LV Yanfei seemed slightly calmer, having prepared herself mentally. But Li Xiangdong stood there in a daze, staring at the scene. The two elders beside him gasped in awe. Grand Elder. He's the Grand Elder. That was a 6th-tier fierce beast, and it was annihilated in a single punch from the Grand Elder. At that moment, a beastly roar echoed from afar. A lion-shaped fierce beast, nearly 200 feet long and covered in sharp spines, emerged from the star mist in the distance, roaring as it came. Upon its arrival, the surrounding fierce beasts immediately scattered, seemingly afraid to approach its vicinity. 8th-tier sword lion beast. Li Xiangdong's pupils constricted. The two elders beside him cried out in alarm, and even LV Yanfei inhaled deeply, her expression tense. Wang Lin abruptly looked up, his eyes shining with brilliance. To the cultivators around him, it appeared as though he shot into the sky like a meteor, racing toward the mighty 8th-tier fierce beast. His speed surpassed that of a thunderclap, and as he neared the beast, he raised his right leg and struck out with immense force. A thunderous explosion rang out, and the majestic beast's body froze for an instant before it erupted into a cloud of blood mist. The immense vitality flowed into Wang Lin's body. Standing in the sky, savoring the vitality of the 8th-tier beast, Wang Lin seemed like a divine being. Suddenly, the surroundings fell silent. The once greedy eyes of the fierce beasts turned to fear. The cultivators stared in stunned silence, barely believing their eyes. 8th-tier. Li Xiangdong stood frozen, his mind blank. The two elders beside him were also stunned, completely shaken. A cultivator capable of instantly killing an 8th-tier fierce beast was a true powerhouse, even in the Cloud Sea star domain. Li Xiangdong and his companions continued to stare in disbelief. The Grand Elder, whom they had never seen before, instantly became a figure of mystery and awe in their eyes. Even if they had doubts about Wang Lin's true identity, at that moment, they could not help but ignore them without hesitation. With such a powerful cultivator in our Guiyuan sect, the domination of the 5-tier star domains is just around the corner. Li Xiangdong and the two elders exchanged excited glances, their spirits lifted. If they knew that not only could Wang Lin instantly kill an 8-tier beast, but he had also recently slain a shattered Nirvana cultivator from the 6-tier Cloud Sea star domain, their shock would be even greater. The fierce beasts, seeing Wang Lin's power, had their greed replaced by fear. In an instant, they scattered, fleeing toward the horizon to escape the Moro continent and return to the star domain. Wang Lin paid no attention to the thoughts of the cultivators around him. His body was surrounded by the vitality of the 8-tier fierce beast, continuously merging with his own flesh and blood to resist the flesh tribulation. After a few breaths, Wang Lin's eyes flashed brightly as he glanced at the scattered beasts in the distance. Taking a step forward, he seemed like a deathly light harvesting lives. In an instant, he approached a fleeing beast, charging through it, leaving behind a trail of blood, rain, and vitality. The sky was filled with swirling light as Wang Lin moved with lightning speed. With every flash, a fierce beast would collapse. In a short while, Wang Lin had chased beyond the Moro continent, darting across the starry sky. The screams of the beasts echoed throughout the cosmos. Those fierce beasts that had been drawn to the ancient god's blood crystal were met with nothing but slaughter. After about the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, the massacre gradually came to an end. Within 100,000 miles of the Moro continent, no fierce beasts remained. Only a few, terrified ones managed to escape, their memories forever marked by the terror of a cultivator who resembled a divine being on the Moro continent. The protective barrier of the Moro continent was repaired and reopened, and everything seemed to return to normal. However, the shock in the hearts of the Guiyuan sect cultivators would remain forever. At this moment, outside the Southern Garden Medicine Court of the Guiyuan sect, Li Xiangdong, LV Yanfei, and two other elders stood there with great respect. Despite having waited for a long time, none of the four showed any signs of impatience. All the cultivators from the Southern Garden had been relocated to the other three courts, and except for Sun Yun, who remained by LV Yanfei's side, there were no disciples left in the Southern Garden. Are these medicinal herbs, brought back by Grand Elder? Li Xiangdong's gaze fell on the herbs in the yard. After receiving an affirmative answer from Sun Yun, his expression showed a hint of excitement. At that moment, deep beneath the courtyard, Wang Lin sat cross-legged, with his true self, now the size of an ordinary person, silently breathing and meditating. His true body had already healed most of the way, with only a patch of flesh on his chest still gradually growing, continuing its resistance against the first decay and second tribulation. Time passed slowly. 3 days later, the light in Wang Lin's chest flickered, and the flesh tribulation dissipated. He had successfully passed the first decay and second tribulation of the ancient gods, 3 decays and 7 tribulations. His true body slowly opened its eyes, emitting a brilliant gleam. A wave of invisible pressure spread out. His skin had become rougher, and his bones harder. At this moment, his true body had truly become an ancient god, not the incomplete form it had once been. Moreover, after devouring endless primordial energy and the strange star mist, his cultivation had greatly increased. Next to the 5 stars on his forehead, another star appeared. Though still faint and not fully formed, just this was enough to make Wang Lin ecstatic. Ancient gods were unlike cultivators. The difficulty of adding a star was immense. Over the past 1,000 years, Wang Lin had faced many hardships, and only through numerous fortunate encounters had he managed to elevate his true self to the 5-star ancient god. Though the 6th star was still blurry, the power he could exert now far surpassed his previous limits. Even more importantly, once he reached the 6th star, he could begin to cultivate his own moon gazing. A smile appeared on his face, leaving his true self to continue meditating deep underground, absorbing the power of heaven and earth, and beginning the transformation of moon gazing. Wang Lin left and appeared inside the medicine court's house. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin felt quite pleased. His true self had successfully survived the tribulation, adding another strength to him in the Cloud Sea star domain. With the combined powers of his true self, a cultivator in the early Shattered Nirvana stage would certainly be much easier to defeat than before. However, there is a huge difference between the initial, mid, and late stages of Shattered Nirvana, not to mention reaching perfection. I wonder how my true self, after merging with me, compares to a cultivator in the mid-Shattered Nirvana stage. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with sharp light as he pushed open the door and stepped outside. As soon as Wang Lin appeared in the medicine court, a gentle breeze blew across his face, feeling very pleasant. The sky, now covered by a protective barrier, turned a brilliant blue, with wisps of white clouds visible in the distance. Looking at the medicinal herbs in the court, Wang Lin made a decision. He would use the unique alchemy techniques of the Cloud Sea star domain to advance his cultivation as quickly as possible. You may come in. After some thought, Wang Lin's gaze fell on the 5 people outside the courtyard, and he spoke slowly. His voice was calm, but carried an invisible authority. As it reached the ears of the group outside, they immediately took a deep breath, their expressions tense but respectful as they walked into the courtyard. Sun Yun, even more anxious, followed behind LV Yanfei and entered the yard. Disciple Li Xiangdong greets Grand Elder. We were unaware of your return and have shown disrespect. Please punish us, Grand Elder. As soon as Li Xiangdong and the others entered the courtyard, they immediately spoke with great reverence. After a brief exchange, everyone took their leave. Sun Yun could no longer stay here and followed LV Yanfei to the southern pavilion. The southern garden had now been designated a forbidden area, with strict prohibitions against any disciples entering. Meanwhile, under Wang Lin's orders, a large quantity of alchemy prescriptions and high-tier pills were delivered. However, Wang Lin no longer found these pills useful. After a quick inspection of the prescriptions, he kept only the recipes and had the pills taken away. While Wang Lin spent his days studying the prescriptions, far away on the Moro continent. Following the death of Shi Luoxing, a meticulous search was launched. Cultivators from various sects in the 6th grade starfield spread across the entire 5th grade starfield, inspecting floating continents, with some even venturing into starfields below 5th grade. As the actions of the 6th grade starfield continued, news of the jade slips and prescriptions began to spread, attracting attention from the 7th grade starfield and even the 8th grade starfield. Long rainbows shot out from the 7th and 8th grade starfields, heading directly for the sealed area of the 5th grade starfield's primal continent. In the deepest part of the Cloud Sea star domain, the star mist was so thick that even cultivators in the Shattered Nirvana stage could only extend their divine sense to about 50 meters. Those who recklessly entered the mist often ended up like blindfolded individuals, easily lost and unable to escape. Here, the most powerful fierce beasts in the entire Cloud Sea star domain exist. They hide within the mist, with some even releasing their divine arts, blending their bodies with the star mist, quietly cultivating the rules of the heavenly Tao. As long as cultivators do not provoke them, they will not actively attack. Compared to them, the few cultivation stars within the star mist appear insignificant, like outsiders. However, the power within these cultivation stars is enough to shake the heavens and the earth, making even these powerful fierce beasts wary and reluctant to approach. This is the 9th grade star domain of the Cloud Sea. At the edge of the 9th grade star domain, 7 cultivation stars align in the shape of the Big Dipper, with layers of protective formations linking them together, making them inseparable from each other. At this moment, on the cultivation star representing the head of the Big Dipper, beneath millions of layers of protection, there lies a vast grassland, where a towering structure reaches into the clouds. This structure is a statue, carved in the likeness of a cultivator pointing to the heavens with a furious gaze, seemingly cursing the sky, with an indescribable aura of majesty radiating across the land. The grassland is peaceful, with only a few small spirit beasts occasionally appearing, playing among themselves before quickly wandering off. After a long time, a long rainbow streaks across the sky, rapidly approaching. Within this rainbow is a woman. She is strikingly beautiful, but what is most unusual is her blue hair, a color found in only one person throughout the entire Cloud Sea star domain. That person is Li Qianmei from the 9th grade Skybreaker sect. She began cultivating at the age of 5, established her foundation at 7, formed her core at 19, reached the nascent soul stage at 26, and achieved spirit transformation at 37. By the age of 45, she underwent infant metamorphosis. After 400 years of cultivation, she reached the realm of glimpse of nirvana and then, after another 300 years, became a mid-pure nirvana cultivator. After more than 500 years of further practice, she became the youngest shattered nirvana cultivator in the Skybreaker sect. Today, after more than 1,200 years of cultivation, she has reached the late stage of shattered nirvana. In the Cloud Sea star domain, the name Li Qianmei is a legend. Disciple Li Qianmei, paying respects to the master ancestor. The rainbow dissipates in front of the statue, revealing a woman exuding a majestic aura. Sima Mo's jade slip has appeared. Go to the 5th grade star domain. If possible, find the person who obtained the jade slip and bring them back along with it. A weary voice, tinged with sorrow, slowly emanates from the statue, causing ripples to spread across the sky and earth. Li Qianmei respectfully acknowledges and turns to leave. Inside the statue, an elderly man with white hair sits cross-legged. His body is riddled with sores, his eyes filled with nostalgia. After a long time, he shakes his head with a deep sigh. Brother Sima, perhaps. Master was wrong back then. As for the beast bone elixir formula, Wang Lin also conducted a detailed study. Ultimately, his expression fluctuates between uncertainty and contemplation. The formula's purported effects left him pondering for a long time, not to mention the fact that many of the herbs listed are completely unheard of. By researching the ancient texts of the Guiyuan sect, Wang Lin finds some clues. Among them are 3 herbs: star-transforming wood, dragon-scented grass, and shattering blossom, all of which existed tens of thousands of years ago. Even then, they were incredibly rare, and now they are practically extinct. However, the Guiyuan sect's texts do record that a small fragment of star-transforming would still exist in the 8th grade main sect. The most critical point is that to refine this nirvana void pill, it requires the souls of 9 13th grade peak fierce beasts. Only after fusing them can the alchemy proceed. But that's not all. The chances of success in refining the nirvana void pill are incredibly low. Furthermore, the process requires using the beast bone from the current formula as a catalyst, melting this bone into the mixture. With each failure, the color of the beast bone darkens. Once the bone turns pitch black, the pill can never be refined. However, if successful, the beast bone will disappear, becoming part of the pill. Staring at the beast bone in his hand, although its color is not yet pitch black, it has already begun to darken. It won't be long before it's rendered useless. This beast bone has clearly been used for alchemy several times already. If it had succeeded, this formula would have disappeared long ago. More valuable than the herbs and beast souls is this strange beast bone. But what kind of beast is this from? Even if there's only a slight chance the pill's effects are real, I must try. Wang Lin tightly grips the beast bone, carefully observing it for a moment before placing it into his storage dimension. He then takes out another object, the jade slip he found with the formula. His divine sense sweeps across the jade slip, and Wang Lin's expression grows strange. After a long silence, he extends his right hand and grasps the storage rift. Instantly, the poison crone's soul emerges. With a calm expression, Wang Lin points at the poison crone's soul multiple times, each touch causing the poison crone to tremble, growing weaker with each passing moment. After a moment, Wang Lin suddenly placed his right hand on the top of the poison crone's essence spirit. His consciousness swept out along his hand and directly attacked the poison crone's essence spirit to cast the soul, search divine art. Scenes of memories flooded into Wang Lin's mind, including the 5 poison sects' poison refining techniques, as well as the events of this person's life. In the end, Wang Lin found memories related to the alchemy formula and the jade slip. Time passed slowly, and when night fell, Wang Lin raised his right hand, bringing the weak but still living essence spirit into the storage rift. He gazed at the jade slip, his expression pensive. From the poison crone's memories, Wang Lin learned of events that happened 18,000 years ago in the Cloud Sea Star domain at the Skybreaker sect, and he understood the function of this jade slip. The jade slip did not record any divine arts or cultivation techniques. It was merely an identity token from the Skybreaker sect, containing a mark, the mark of the chief disciple of the Skybreaker sect 18,000 years ago. The person's name was Sima Mo, and if nothing unusual happened, he would have been the next sect leader of the Skybreaker sect 18,000 years ago. It was he who, along with a portion of disciples and the beast bone alchemy formula, split from the Skybreaker sect and disappeared within the star domain. 18,000 years ago, the Skybreaker sect, which had entered the 9th-tier star domain, held complicated feelings toward the disciples who left. When they learned that a significant number of these disciples were severely wounded and eventually went missing, the then sect leader of the Skybreaker sect, Sima Mo's master, left behind an edict that lasted for tens of thousands of years. From now on, anyone holding the Sima token and returning to the Skybreaker sect will be taken as a disciple by that sect leader. This edict spread across the Cloud Sea, attracting the attention of many cultivators. All of them searched for the lost disciples of the Skybreaker sect, hoping for the opportunity to rise to prominence. However, as time passed, no one found any clues, and the matter gradually faded away. That was until spies of the Five Poisons sect within the Huaqing sect reported the actions and speculations regarding Shirlawashing. Initially, the Five Poisons sect did not take this too seriously, considering the long time that had passed and the possibility that the clues were false. They sent only a few people to investigate, with the Poison Crone leading the team. No one expected that this clue was true. Wang Lin silently gazed at the jade slip. After a long while, he put it away. This item may prove useful for me in the future. Wang Lin no longer considered the jade slip or the alchemy formula. He calmed himself and immersed his mind in alchemy. During his journey to the primordial continent, he not only gathered a sufficient amount of medicinal herbs, but also collected a large number of beast souls. Most of these beast souls were of the 5th tier, suitable for integrating into the pills for his current cultivation level. In his storage space, he also had some spirit beast souls. These were all souls of disciples from the Huaqing sect, collected by the silver-clad woman after they were killed in the primordial continent. Additionally, within his storage, there was a spirit serpent, the Poison Crone's life-bound spirit beast, which had already reached the peak of the 6th tier. Besides these, the highest-tiered soul Wang Lin held was the soul of an 8th-tier fierce beast, which he had instantaneously slain. This soul was quite precious. Wang Lin had not destroyed it, but took the alchemy pill from the Guiyuan sect's Taoist temple instead. After 3 failed attempts, he finally fused this soul with the pill, creating an 8th-tier soul-severing pill. Moreover, after searching through the Poison Crone's memories, Wang Lin found a beast-refining technique that intrigued him greatly. This technique was created by a once-genius disciple of the Five Poisons sect. It used formations and restrictions to trap beast souls, then used poison to provoke them, causing these souls to devour each other and ultimately giving birth to a mutated high-tier soul. However, this method had a significant drawback. The mutated beast souls could no longer devour ordinary souls. Only other mutated beast souls could devour one another. This phenomenon caused significant setbacks for the Five Poisons sect. Moreover, the success rate of refining beast souls was low. The higher the tier, the harder it was to refine. For example, to create a mutated 9th-tier beast soul, a large number of 8th-tier beast souls would need to be continually refined and consumed. Each 8th-tier beast soul required many 7th-tier souls, and so on. Even if a high-tier soul was occasionally successfully refined, it would require vast amounts of rare resources to nourish it before it could be used in alchemy. Furthermore, there was still the risk of failure in refining. Each failure weakened the beast's soul significantly. Wang Lin was aware of this. The first pill he ever refined failed more than 10 times before it succeeded. Although successful, the beast's soul within had already dissipated most of its strength, and the pill's effectiveness was greatly reduced. In the end, even the Five Poisons sect had to abandon this method. The sect could not bear such a drain on resources. Not only them, But even 7th tier or 8th tier sects could rarely afford such costs. Even if they could, it would be easier to capture beast souls directly rather than refining them. After seeing this method, Wang Lin quietly calculated the consumption of this technique. He couldn't help but feel shocked, but after giving it some thought, he decided to try it out briefly. Using the method for refining poison recorded in the poison crone's memory, Wang Lin spent several days and barely managed to produce a few batches. For the trial, Wang Lin didn't choose the Guiyuan sect, but instead went to a mountain range on the Moro continent. He dug out a cave residence, set up many restrictions, sealed several 5th-tier beast souls inside, scattered the poison, and observed for several days. He found that the beast souls began to devour each other, so he strengthened the seals before returning to the Guiyuan sect. After several days of sitting in peace, Wang Lin took out the pills he had refined during this time, especially the 8th-tier ones, and began to consume them. The first ones he took were the 5th-tier pills. The beast souls within the pills, under the devouring power of Wang Lin's essence spirit, had no power to resist and immediately dissipated into Wang Lin's mind and merged with his essence spirit, placing him into a strange state. As Wang Lin continued to consume the 5th-tier pills, he faintly saw, in that peculiar state, fierce beasts that, from the moment of their birth, worshipped the heavens and earth, absorbing the essence of the world and understanding the changes of the laws. The beast souls in the 5th-tier pills couldn't offer Wang Lin much help. Taking them only allowed him to familiarize himself with the method of using beast souls to comprehend the Tao, a method that was previously unfamiliar to him. After the 5th-tier pills, Wang Lin began to consume the 6th-tier pills. The beast souls inside had the cultivation level of a cultivator in the early pure nirvana stage. As soon as he swallowed them, Wang Lin's state of mind was stirred. It was as if he had transformed into fierce beasts, gradually understanding the rules of heaven and earth over long years. The scenes were like vivid illusions, and Wang Lin immersed himself in them, searching for his own Tao, seeking the existence and eternity between truth and illusion in the chaotic insights. Not knowing how long passed, when only the 8th-tier pills remained in his hands, Wang Lin awoke from that strange state, feeling confused. He gazed ahead and muttered to himself, "To prove the Tao with the power of one is to make a point. To prove the Tao with the power of many is to create a surface. The pills from the Cloud Sea are not a form of fate, but rather give cultivators repeated opportunities to pursue the Tao, using beast souls, in another way, to explore the Tao, to explore the rules of heaven and earth." However, compared to the thunder and rain realms, the Cloud Sea has shortened the process of comprehending the Tao with this method. But, after all, a beast is a beast. Its understanding of the Tao is partial, and it cannot clearly trace back to the source unless one refines pills with human souls, or there is an existence that transcends the word beast. Only then can refining pills make the comprehension of the Tao clearer and more direct. Otherwise, one would need to consume a large number of pills to find the necessary insight and confirm it. This Tao is like a way of thinking. Everyone's thoughts are different. To enrich and perfect one's thoughts, in addition to personal comprehension, one also needs the insights of others to verify it, absorbing their essence into one's own thoughts. The cultivators of the Cloud Sea chose beast souls, just as Tian Yunzi chose his many disciples. As Wang Lin was lost in his thoughts, outside the Moro continent, a long rainbow streaked across the sky, drawing closer. Within this rainbow, cultivators from the 6th-tier star domains searched meticulously, their presence spreading across the Moro continent as they stepped into the protective light barrier.